You're invited to pretty with me at my pretty party. It's your favorite auntie. Keep your pity, give me the party. I gotta look good, so I'm gonna be tardy. What's up, my little teacups and teapots? It's your favorite auntie, Joymoya Thomas, and I am back with another video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you continue to stick around and come back for more because, like, this is only the beginning. Like, I've been doing videos for a while, but I keep deleting them and then adding different ones and new ones. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. So today I want to get into um, story time, right? So I am getting ready to do a project, and I thought, like, how best to deliver this story, this message, um, to you, other than, like, having you to get ready with me, while I do my makeup. All right, so let me see. I also found my makeup bag so that I can get my makeup out of this shoebox, but yeah. All right, so let me get started. And like I said, I haven't done my makeup in so long, so it takes me a minute to, get back to the basics of it all, right? The basics, right? So the basics, at least brows, eyeshadow, lashes, and lipstick. Did I even bring lipstick? Okay, I have some. All right. But anyway, so the enemy has kept me from speaking for a very long time. Like, something happened to me and I just felt so guilty about it, and I felt so responsible. And the enemy took my speech away behind that. The enemy took my voice away behind that, and I had to fight for it. I had to fight for it to come back. I had to wait for it to come back. I had to fight for it to come back. I had to pray for it to come back. And here I am, right? So here I am delivering, like, this message to you. So let me go ahead and get into it, right? So I want to tell you about the beginning of my journey to joy. It all started when I lost, um, well, I had a fight with my sister cousin, and then I ended up losing her. All right, so I'm gonna start from the beginning. Well, not the beginning, but here and there. So let me just get what I needed so that I can get started. All right, so last time I did not put on a what is this stuff called? It's called something. Wait, let me see. Honey, these makeup folks is gonna let you know. Once they watch the video and you find out, they're gonna let you know. But anyway, so this barrier to my skin to prevent the makeup from getting into my pores. Well, it's a pore refiner. Basically, that's what it is. And I didn't do that for the last video, but I'm gonna do that for this video because I want to protect the barriers of my skin so that the chemicals and the compounds in the makeup don't soak into my pores and cause any more acne and blemishes than I already have. That's key, right? So you gotta have this stuff. Like I said, I haven't used it in a while, so I'm just gonna put some on. All right, so let me see, where do I get started? Right, so I said I had a fight with my sister cousin. um she moved from Mississippi to Arizona with her boyfriend. Like, let me think. Was it with her boyfriend or did she meet him there? I think it was with her boyfriend, right? So they moved to Arizona. Things didn't work out. So she ended up coming to Chicago. So I met her in Arizona, and I traveled there by bus, Greyhound, and we rode back to Chicago. Now, on the way back, I didn't help her drive because she had a stick shift car and I didn't know how to drive stick shift. So I just tried to stay awake as long as I could to keep her awake. And we sang and we sang karaoke songs, we talked, we laughed. I remember us pulling over to a gas station, and this gas station had that new drink, the Hypnotic. Do you guys remember that drink, Hypnotic? So everybody was talking about that drink and how it was, and us and our young dumb self wanted to see what it tastes like. So we tried to convince the clerk, like, go ahead and let us buy it. We're on our way, to such and such, and we're not gonna drink it till we get there, honey. One of us would have broke. One of us would have opened that bottle and drank it, but it's a good thing he didn't give it to us because, anything could have happened. And, we had a long way to go. And not only did we have a long way to go, we didn't have a GPS because GPS wasn't out back then. So we just had this paper, sheet paper directions. And there were a couple of times we thought that we were lost and had went the wrong way, but eventually we ended up making it to Chicago. All right, so once we got to Chicago, I dropped something. Once we got to Chicago, she ended up moving in with me. Like, I was staying with my boyfriend at the time, shacking. Red flag number one. But anyway, she ended up moving to Chicago, and it didn't take her long to get reestablished because she was already trained to be a manager, and she found a management job just like that. It was with a restaurant franchise, a fast food franchise, and she got back on her feet just like that. It was like within a week she got a job, and then within like maybe 3-4 weeks she found an apartment. She found an apartment through someone of a mutual friend. Okay, so she got an apartment and she was out and on it within like 45 days after moving to Chicago from Arizona, right? Okay, boom. So after about maybe 2 months, she got her own apartment. Things happened really fast. She got her life back together like really, really fast after leaving a bad situation in Arizona, right? So she got her life back really, really fast, and she got an apartment, and she was working as a manager at a fast food chain. And my God, that's horrible. And I don't have anything right here to fix it. Let me use this right here. All right, so eventually, I don't know how it happened or how it became somewhere along the line. I think it was like, I don't know how it happened or when it happened, but she had been in Chicago for like 4.5, 5 years, a little over 5 years before we had the big fight. Like, before then, we had never fought. Like, we had some disagreements. I can't even say that we really even had disagreements though. Like, you know, I can't say that we did. Like, I don't remember us ever having any like real huge disagreements at all, like any fighting or anything like that, especially to the point whereas we stopped talking. But anyway, so she worked as a manager, as I said, and Oh, I had to stop so I can focus on getting this brow right because these brows are just horrible. Like, I really need to get them done because they are just horrible. But anyway, so she got a car, she got an apartment, she got a job. So things were moving along for her like very well, pretty quickly, you know? And somewhere along the line, there was a problem with the car. And she got pulled over repeatedly. And every time they pulled her over, they towed the car. Now, I wasn't working at the time, so I couldn't help her. So, my then husband, because I got married um, during the time that she had moved from Arizona. And she was not in my wedding. I asked her to be in the wedding, and she said she didn't want to be in the wedding. And I was okay, I was cool with that, you know. My wedding is a whole different story. Like, that was a horror story. And I'll talk to you about that in another video. But honey, woo. Anyway, so my ex-husband is the one who actually paid to get the car out of tow the second time. The first time she paid for it to get it out of tow. The second time he paid for it. And then from the second time, she gave me her keys and she was like, Moya, under no circumstances are you to give me my keys back until I can get my tags fixed. That's what happened. She kept getting pulled over because her tags had expired. So when she would get off work from closing the restaurant, whatever route that she took, the police knew what time she got off and they harassed her and they kept pulling her over. So when they pulled her over, either she didn't have a yeah, so she didn't have tags and I don't think she had a license. I'm not sure what happened with that, but all I know is that it was a real long time ago. All I know is that she kept getting pulled over and then the car was being towed and I couldn't help her get it out of tow. So she was on her own, paying her own bills, expenses, all of that by herself. So whatever money, extra money she had was going to taking care of that. So she gave me the keys and she was like, under no circumstance are you to give me my keys back. I don't care what I do. She was like, I don't care how I ask for them. Don't give them back until I get this taken care of. And I'm like, okay. So I took the keys. I had them. And then I'm not sure what happened. Maybe I had an attitude. Maybe I was going through something with, my husband. I'm not really sure like what was going on with me because there was a lot going on with me during that time. And she wanted to leave the house. I guess I wasn't like really I guess I wasn't really being welcoming or I was being nonchalant, but whatever reason, she talked on the phone to a guy that she was trying to court or he was trying to court her and they were trying to date and she wanted to go see him, go meet him. Now, mind you, this is like dead of winter. Like this is like the beginning of Chicago winter. So I'm like, it's too cold outside. It's snow on the ground. I was like, like, no, I'm not giving you your keys so you can leave. In fact, you told me not to give you your keys. So in my sight, in my eyes, I was protecting her. So she wasn't trying to hear none of that at all. She was like, I don't care about none of that. I ain't trying to hear none of that. Give me my keys so I can go. I'm like, no, I ain't giving you your keys. You can have him to come pick you up or, find a ride or whatever. And that's what I stood on. Because she asked me not to give her her keys. And I was like, okay, fine. So anyway, let me see. She ended up calling the police on me, and the police came. Mind you, I'm private. I don't talk to like anybody really. I had like two close people that I talked to or hung around, three that I thought were close, that I thought were my friends, just three. But anyway, she ended up calling the police, and the police came. So, the police came. I'm trying to get these shades. Like, I bought so much makeup, right? Because I was really trying to figure out makeup and how to put it on. So, what I learned about makeup is that there are these different levels of coverage, right? So, you have this light coverage, medium coverage, and full coverage, right? So the light coverage is like basically if you got like flawless skin and you just want to look, just a little put together, right? The medium coverage is for those like really don't want to wear makeup and only need a little bit to just enhance, their like beauty, natural beauty. And then there's the full coverage for the people like me with the hyperpigmentation, blemishes everywhere, adult acne. So yeah, I wear full coverage, so you won't see, or you're not supposed to see any of that. But anyway, let me get back to, I'm supposed to pencil in my brows. You know what? I don't think I am going to pencil in my brows. I think I am just going to just do my foundation because this is a quick story time and I don't want to waste too much time anyway. So anyway, she called the police on me, and the police came, and it was two of them, and they were trying to figure things out, and I was just so angry. Honey, when I say I got angry, I was heated. I was heated that she called the police on me. And I think what happened is that I didn't understand how bad she wanted her keys. Even with her calling the police, I still didn't understand how bad she wanted her keys. It didn't dawn on me. And I don't know if it didn't dawn on me or that I just simply didn't care because I was following a direct order that she had previously gave me, right? Yeah, so I got heated and got angry. I was uncontrollably heated and uncontrollably angry. I was. And so um hence the arguing, hence uh me just, going like overboard because one, you know, you call the police on me. The police come in my house. They hem up my ex-husband in a corner about to take him to jail. And it's like things like got out of hand so quickly only because I did not give this girl her keys. So I got mad. And well, I didn't get mad. I was heated. I was angry. I was like I said, uncontrollably angry that she would do that to me because I would not call the police on any of my family. But anyway, so somehow at some point I was so angry I was like going at it with the police, baby. Me and the police was going at it because I'm like, first of all, you're not gonna hem up my husband, ex-husband. Now you're not gonna hem him up, and y'all gonna get out of my house because I didn't invite you all in. She invited you all in, and y'all not supposed to be in my house, so y'all need to leave and get out of my house. So That was my whole gripe. And then when the police put me in handcuffs, because like I said, I was going at the police, honey. I At that point I was like, y'all are not about to, take him to jail. It's like y'all not supposed to be here, so y'all gotta go and y'all gotta get out. And I actually ended up kicking her in the chest because I couldn't hit her. I was in handcuffs. So they were taking me to jail and I was like overboard at that time. So I ended up kicking her. I think I kicked her in the chest. And I went to jail. I spent the weekend in jail. I tried to get out. They did not let me out. I don't know if it was a Thursday or a Friday. It could have been a Friday. I think it was a Friday. And I ended up going to jail. Um that wasn't my first time in jail. Well, actually it was my first time in jail. I had got arrested before when I was 15 or 16. That's another story. I'll talk about that one later, but this one we'll stay focused. So anyway, because the only reason I'm telling this story is because the enemy tried to silence me for a very, very long time. Like he took my speech away. The enemy did. And the enemy came back just a few days ago, not so long ago, and tried to trigger me about this situation. So, in order for me to show the enemy that, nope, you don't have control over me like that anymore, I'm going to go ahead and tell this story. Okay, so I'm in jail. It's a Friday, whatever. I'm in jail for the weekend, and mm, I have to wait to see the judge. I have to wait to get bonded out and all that stuff. That was a whole process, honey. Let me tell you something. I don't recommend y'all to like do anything wrong that would make y'all go to jail, especially women with PCOS, because first of all, you got the facial hair. Honey, you got to get rid of that. You got to keep that up, okay? So I'm in jail looking like a whole half a man with my facial hair growing out because there's no razor in jail. You hear me? um so I get bonded out. I mean, just honey, it just wasn't it just was not a good smell. It just was not a good look. It was just not good. And I feel like, I was just too feminine for that in my real personal being. Anyway, so I get bonded out. I get bonded out. I go home and everything is normal in my opinion. The only thing that had changed is that um we stopped talking. We stopped talking. Now, there was nobody in the family to intervene. Nobody called me and said anything. Um the only person who said something was my dad. My dad was like, you should call her because it was like over a month, and we hadn't called each other, we hadn't texted each other, we hadn't said anything. Of course, I had given her keys back because of the whole situation. Like, I'm like, here go her keys, everybody get out. It was too late. I was already in handcuffs and I was going to jail, right? So anyway, my dad was like, call her, text her. You need to make up, y'all don't need to, just let that go on like that. I felt violated. And I felt like nobody understood, you know, my aspect of the whole situation. But I later found that none of that really mattered. Like, it, how I felt about the situation really didn't matter. That's one. So anyway, I held that grudge. I held a grudge and I did not call. I did not call. I did not go by her place of employment. I didn't check on her. None of that. Now, let me tell you who she was to the family. She was the favorite. She was like the favorite. She was the favorite, like, niece of the uncles and aunts. So she ended up passing, and it hit me hard because um I didn't make up with her before she passed. Like, we didn't make up. Like, we loved each other. We cared about each other undoubtedly. But I held the grudge, and we didn't get a chance to make up. So she passed away. She passed away from pneumonia. Now, mind you, she's from Mississippi. She moved to Arizona from Mississippi, and then from Arizona she moved to Chicago. And you know how cold it gets in Chicago. So she did not dress for the weather. She did not dress for the weather. And she got sick. She had asthma, so it was like really, really easy for her to get sick. And she died from pneumonia. She got sick, and that stayed with me for a very long time. It affected me like really, really bad. And honey, let me tell you something. When that happened, it sent me spiraling. I spiraled, and I did not know how to articulate how I was feeling at the time, and nobody was able to get that out of me. How I was feeling. So let me see what's next. So anyway, she ended up getting sick. Her mom called me. Her mom called. Like, her mom and my mom were like best sisters. So of course we were like sisters. We were only 1 year apart, and that's why she was my sister cousin, right? So her mom called me at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and gave me the bad news. Like, Bunny, her name was Bunny. Bunny is in the hospital, and they're saying she's not gonna make it, and everyone needs to get there. And honey, when I tell you, I jumped up out of my bed and got there as fast as I could. And I saw her. She was all swollen, and she had tubes everywhere. And it was nothing that I could say or do at that point. Like, I felt so helpless. I felt so hopeless. And I was just like trying to figure out something. And I could figure out nothing. So I called this pastor that I know that was in the family. I called her, and I was like, hey, I need you to say something to me. I need you to come here where I am, and because I need the Lord at this point, because you know, that's the only entity that could turn this around. The Lord. That's the only person. But anyway, she was at work. She could not leave work, and she did not come. So my cousin ended up dying, and I was just like empty, super empty, super empty, super empty. So after she died, like I said, like everything, was what it was. One, I didn't talk to my family at all anyway, too much. Like, I wasn't one of the favorites. I was actually the black sheep, the outcast, and tolerated, in my opinion. It's just the truth about it. And then there was the funeral. I went to the funeral, and I saw how the family was acting like shady, but not shady. Welcoming, but not welcoming. I don't know how to explain it, but it was noticeable, in my opinion.
wasn't nothing I could do. The fight happened. The grudge was still there. Well, the grudge wasn't there at that point. It was like, what can you do? But anyway, so yeah, the family was like, they were like, they wasn't standoffish, but you could tell like it was a difference. And from that point, that started my um journey to trying to figure out a whole lot of stuff. Um, like figure out why were they like that? Why was I like I was? Okay. So yeah, that started that. So after the funeral, I went home and I kept taking care of my mother because again, hold on just a second. I'm gonna stop this so you don't hear the train. Okay, so I just continued to take care of my mom because again she was an addict and she was using pretty heavily. So I was responsible for making sure that she took care of the bills, make sure she had everything that she needed. Um there's a whole lot with that situation and that'll be a whole nother story. But anyway, so my mom did feel some type of way about the whole situation. Like she she wasn't like too like put off with me because I was taking care of everything for her, so I had to come around her. But I think she was just grieving. The family was hit hard behind that one, behind that loss. That was like another like huge major loss in the family, and it we had not had one for a very long time. God had spared the family, so I definitely feel somewhat responsible to a degree. But anyway, so yeah. What I will say though is that her mom did thank me. Like her mom did thank me and was like, thank you for seeing her through another 5 years of life from the bad situation that she was in Arizona. Because had she not got out of that situation in Arizona, she probably would have passed away sooner than the 5 years. So her mom like really didn't her mom didn't like treat me like too differently or whatever. Like she was grieving. She stayed the same. She's like the one who one like really the only one who didn't change. Her love for me didn't change, it didn't shift. Even after my cousin died, she still came to Chicago. No, she didn't come after that. She came before then. And she would stay with me, and that's the auntie who, would get all of my clothes and perfume, fragrances. That's what she would call it. I need a fragrance. I need a fragrance. So, um, she would get a fragrance and, something to wear, and she always said I was the one, to keep her young, you know. But anyway, yeah. So, mm, mm, that was the start of my sorrows. I can't say that. Losing my sister cousin, that was a loss on a scale that I had never I couldn't measure. I had never experienced a loss like that before on, on that magnitude. So she was the beginning of my grief and my sorrow, like even knowing or understanding what that was, right? Yeah. Oh, don't put that there. Hang on, let me see, where is my container? I don't see it. Where can I put this? Put it there. Right. All right, so what else I need to tell you about that situation? All right. So just to recap, right? So I rode to Arizona by Greyhound to meet her, right? To come back to Chicago. She got reestablished like fairly quickly. Within like 45 days, 60 days, actually within 45 days, she was in her own apartment. She had a job as a manager, and she got a car. So she moved like really quickly. She jumped back on her feet. And let's see, what am I looking for? Right. So after that, like, you know, things went on. I went on. I was having some issues. I was newly married. One. Again, I was taking care of my mother who had substance abuse. That's two. And then three, I was in school. I was in college at the time, taking online classes at the time. So I had a lot going on. I really did. Now that I look back and like really think about it, I had a lot going on. And this is not doing this any justice. Like, okay, I need to focus, like, because I really want to get this project started and get this project done because I am so far behind. And plus, I need more practice putting on makeup again because, like I said, it has been a long time since I put on makeup. But it's like once you know how to do it and once you know the basics, like you can't like really mess it up, right? All right. So yeah, that's about it. That is about it. And a scripture that I will give you regarding this because like I said, the enemy tried to silence me. The enemy came and tried to trigger me not so long ago, right? Just a couple of days ago. Because, like I said, this whole situation hit me unexpectedly. Like, it was the first time that I actually, experienced this on this scale. Like, never experienced it before. All right, so, yeah, the enemy tried to come and make me feel bad and trigger me and all that stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, you don't know, you don't know, you don't know, but let me tell the truth. Let me tell the truth and accept whatever responsibility that I might have, and then like really really redirect it so that you can get some revelation. This is how I'm talking to the enemy, right? So anyway, in First John chapter 3 verse 20, for if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things. Don't you forget that, okay? Don't you try to don't you don't you let nobody try to condemn you, break you down, or make you feel guilty for something that happened that you had no control over. And then when you get that revelation and when you understand that, you know what to do. And that's just it and all to it. When that girl passed away, like, I was not the same anymore. Like, at that point, I was like, I try my best to like go on and be normal and just do what I was supposed to do, but it that wasn't easy. And I'm gonna tell you this: the family didn't make it easy either. My family did not make it easy, for me to um, recoup and grieve properly. They didn't do that. Deep down, my family felt like I was responsible for her dying and not just responsible for my actions in the house, in my house. They felt like I was responsible for her dying, and nobody, only one person said that. One person put responsibility on me for her dying, as if I give life. I don't give life, I don't take it away. So, yeah, that's that. Once I realized that, I started moving how I needed to move. I needed to find out some information, so I went on a search. I went on a search for the information to figure out, to find out why did this happen? One, how could it have been prevented? Two, and what can we do to change and make sure it never happens again? Honey, I am not enjoying this makeup tutorial right here because I think I put this in the wrong place. Yep. It'll get greater later, next time. Because that wasn't supposed to be there, but it's here. So I'm going to put it on here and here. All right. So, I got my answers. I got my answers, but I will be honest and say that I pursued those answers in the wrong way. I pursued those answers. I sought those answers from a place of anger, from a place of hurt, and that was the wrong way. So when you want your answers, right, because God will definitely give you your answers. He is not going to deny you, answers, right? But what I will say is, when you do search for your answers and seek your answers, make sure that it's from a place of humbleness. Like, you have to humble yourself, to understand, like, your position in life. So you have to be childlike in asking, your questions and seeking your answers. That's one. That's what I will tell you. And then let me use this brush right here. No, I'm gonna use my little spongy thing. Yeah, my little spongy thing. So yeah, that's the beginning of my sorrows or whatever it is. And there's so much other stuff happened. Like, I don't know if you've been paying attention or you knew, those on the inside actually know. They saw like the whole thing, you know. So yeah, this is gonna turn out all right. I'm okay with it. it's like if you put this makeup on in the right spots, like I said, once you know the basics of, putting on this makeup, honey, it's going to come together. It is going to come together, okay? And I'm only going to do a little bit because I just want to get a quick project done. So I'm just going to cover my face and try to make up my face so that the blemishes don't show too much and it'll look put together. Yep. We're going to go with that. That's going to be right there, right there, right there. Good enough. So if you take nothing away from this little story time, if you take nothing away from this little story time, I want you to, take the time, number one, learn from somebody else's mistake. Like, don't hold a grudge. Like, forgive quickly. Like, you know, I think it's in Matthew 6 where the Lord prayer says, forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. So, somebody do something to you, forgive them, because honey, 9 times out of 10 you'd have been and did something to somebody and you want some forgiveness. So go ahead and forgive quickly, because I didn't forgive quickly. Like, I held the grudge and I wasn't able to correct my part in what happened. So I definitely felt some type of way about that. I felt guilty about that, but I don't think that it was, honey, I won't get into that. But anyway, so your takeaways from this little story time that I just gave you, your takeaways is going to be: first, know thyself, why you are emotional triggered, and make the decisions that you do, okay? Also, you're going to forgive quickly, as I just said, and then, you know, understand that everybody does the best that they can until they know better and can do better. You know, your family may not want to admit that they had some responsibility in your upbringing and how you turned out the way that you turned out. Like, for some of you, I know that there are so many different factors. Make sure you get under your neck. Like, PCOS women, oh gosh. We have to make sure that our makeup blends from our face to our neck. Definitely that. Yeah. All right, so everybody has, like, some growing up to do. Everybody has a part. Everybody has a part in making sure that we become one body and one sound. Everybody has a part in that. And unfortunately, our parts may not look the same. It may not look the same, it may not sound the same, but eventually the goal should be one accord. Okay, so let me leave you with another scripture to help you understand, like, there's a role, a part, and a position that all of us will play in the body of Christ. Okay? And that can be found in Ephesians 4:13. till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we should no longer be children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitful plotting, but speaking the truth in love, may grow up in all things into him who is the head, Christ. And there you have it. I want God to get all his glory, and I really don't want anything like this to happen to anyone else, because it's not a good feeling, and it can take like a very long time, to, come after it, like get over it. You can lose a lot of life behind it, behind the guilt, um, you know, just behind the fact that your family don't care about you like you think they did or think they should, and that's okay, because God loves you, God cares about you, and I had to find that out. Like, honey, when all this happened, like when I found out that my family didn't love me like I needed them to or thought that they should, when I realized that they couldn't take care of me like God can, does, and will, I sought after God like no other. I'm like, you gonna have to talk to me directly. Like, I need to hear from you, like, directly. So let me tell you how I was able to hear from God directly. So how was I able to hear from God directly? That's simple. I found who God was talking to and started listening. That's simple. Who was God talking to? And I started listening. And then I found a direct communication to God through prayer, fasting, and reading the word. That's direct relationship, that's direct communication, and in that you can't go wrong. I mean, of course, I am not going to say that I'm, perfect. Like, I am not going to sit up here and say that, I'm holier than thou, or that I'm perfect. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is that if there's something you need to know, if there's something that you need to get over, and if there is something that you need to change, that's only going to happen through God. Everything you need is everything you need is in God. And don't let nobody tell you anything different. Information, healing, delivery, direction, guidance, everything you need is in God. It's not going to be in your family, because if you expect it to be in your family, they will disappoint you. God will not disappoint you. Even though you might not understand his actions, his judgment, um his process, even though you might not understand that, in the end, you will glorify God. You will get what you need, and it will all make sense. When my makeup look is complete, I am going to throw on some lashes, and I am going to try and get this project done. Thank you so much, my little teacups and teapots, for tuning in to your favorite auntie's story time. Let me recap. I gave you 2 Bible verses, okay? The first one, oh, I actually gave you three, but the first one I gave you was First John 3:20. And it says, "For if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things." So that's simply saying, don't feel guilty about things that you've done, things that you've been through, or things that, people have said about you. God knows your heart. Okay? God knows your heart. Also, forgive so that you can be forgiven. That's Matthew 6:12. Go read that. And then again, Ephesians 4:13. Till we all come to the unity of faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we should no longer be children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitful plotting, but speaking the truth in love may grow up in all things into him who is the head. And that's why I'm telling you this story time, because it is the truth in love. And this is me like accepting my part as if I haven't accepted it before. Honey, let me tell you something. Like, it was a crash and burn with me, okay? It was a bust my head open to the white meat with me, okay? But yeah, that's about it. All right, so this makeup look is complete. I am going to throw a wig on. I braided my hair down so that I could throw a wig on really quickly and get this project done. But anyway, to my little teacups and teapots, thank you so much for joining me, your favorite auntie, Joy Moya Thomas. I think I should say my name, because there may be some of you who don't know who I am and you're just coming in and joining me for the first time. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Ask questions so that I can answer them and, we can understand and grow together. I'm open for criticism, comments. Like, I'm open to expression. However you feel like you need to express yourself, that's your prerogative, I'll say. Okay? But just be respectful. That's first and foremost. All right, until next time, my little teacups and teapots, thanks for joining me.